Hello everyone and welcome to the Selenium Python framework series. In this particular session, we will implement the .environment file in the framework. So let's begin. So far what we have done is that the URL is defined in the page object for the login page. And if I go to the credentials for this one particularly, so this is being defined or passing in this particular test. And this is not a good practice. We need to make more flexible framework, and tomorrow if there are multiple environments like QA, staging and preprod, and every environment has a different configurations, then you need to manage them separately. So what we'll do is that we'll create an environment file, and from that environment file we'll pass the values over here. So let's go to the browser over here. In browser, what you need to do is that you need to search for python dot environment. So basically, this python dot environment reads the key value pairs from the .env file and set them as the environment variables. So in order to use this one, what we need to do is that we need to copy this one and we need to go back to the project and install this particular Python package. Now inside the project, what you need to do is that you need to go to the terminal, and here you just need to paste this command and press enter. Now it will install this particular package. So if the package is already installed on the system, so it will say that requirement satisfied. In case you are installing this for the first time, it will properly install this particular package. Now once you have this package, what you need to do is that on the root directory, right click on this one, go to new, go to file, and here we need to create a file .env and press enter. And now what we need to do in this particular file, so basically we need to move the base URL, username and password to this particular file. So what I'll say here in the caps, base underscore URL is equals to, and then we have username equals to, and then password equals to. And now what I need to do is that simply this is the URL. So copy this from here, go back to .environment file, paste this over here, and let's go to this login test. And what we need to do is that we need to move this from here. So copy this one, go back here, provide this one, and then what we need to do is that similarly we need to copy the password from this file, from this test file, secret underscore sauce, copy this one, go back here and paste this one. Now once we have moved this one, what else we need to do? So basically we need to update the login page, because the login page right now is a hard-coded value. So if I go here and click on this one, so you see that it has a hard-coded value. We need to remove this one. But in order to do this, what we need to do is that we need to update this conftest file. So we first need to update this file. So because right now it has only the driver fixture, what we need is that we need a fixture for the base URL and for the credentials. Okay, so let's create those ones. So the f, and I will say base underscore URL, and here this should return something, right? So return os dot get environment, and we need to get the base URL. You see that it has this particular value coming here. Now similarly we need a function for the credentials, but this needs to be a Pytest fixture as well. So copy this one from here, and on top of it just paste this one, just give some space, and again copy this one, paste it over here, and name this function as credentials. And here this should return two things, username and password. So what I will say remove this part. And here we have these curly braces because we need to provide two things. So first one is username, and here we will say os dot get environment, and here we need a username. So you see that username equals to this one, select this one, and comma, then we need a password here, and again os dot get environment, because we are getting the values from the environment file, right? And here I will say password. Now we have these three functions which are basically our Pytest fixtures. Now once we have this one, what we need to do is that we need to update this login page. So instead of this particular hardcode value, what I will say, because we need here a base URL, so comma, so base underscore URL, and the URL will be basically a string. And now instead of going this hard-coded value, we will just pass the base URL over here. So just copy this one from here and pass this over here, right? So here we have set up the environment file, and from environment file we are getting this base URL. Now we have the base URL. What else we need to do? We need to update the test file. So go here, because here we are passing these hard-coded values, right? So what I'll do is that let's remove these from here, and besides the driver, we need what we need base URL, and we need credentials, right? So we need credentials and the base URL, and simply what I'll do is that I'll say login dot load, and I need to pass the base URL over here because this base URL has the value, right? And simply I'll go here and say login dot, then we have a login function on the method, and here I need to pass the credentials. So here you will see that I will not provide the hard-coded value. I will just pass credentials, and here I need to pass username, then I need to pass the password. So again, comma, then we have credentials, and here I need to pass the password. So simply what we have done is that instead of passing the hard-coded values in the test, we moved those values in the environment file. So tomorrow, if you have multiple environments like in QA, prod, so you can define all the configurations over here. And then what I did is that in the conftest file, I created two fixtures, one for the base URL and one for the credentials, and I'm getting these values from this particular .environment file, and then I updated the login page over here, and here I'm just passing this URL, and once passing this URL, and then I'm calling these function into the login test. So no hard-coded value, simply passing the values from .environment file, updated the contract file, updated the login page object file, and finally, very simple, no hard-coded value, very precise test. Now just cross-check the files before we run this one. So basically, start with .env file. So it has the base URL, it has the username, it has the password. So it has all the things, no syntax error over here. Then we updated the conftest.py. So open this one, and here. So basically, here we need to import import the dot environment here as well, because we are using the environment over here. So simply what we need to do is that, so we have OS already implemented. So we say from dot environment import load underscore dot environments. And once we have this one, then we need to load. So before here, so what we'll say load underscore environments. That's it. And then we have this driver, and we have a conf driver maximizing it, then yield. Then we have a fixture for the base underscore URL for the base URL. And from here, return os.get environment base URL, then fixtures. So we have this for the credentials. We have provided everything over here. Now let's go to the login page object file, and here we simply replace the hard-coded value and we provided the base URL over here, and nothing else we have changed over here. And finally we have changed the login test in this file. So we have simply provided the base URL credentials over here, and then passing the base URL and the credentials over here. Now let's run this one and simply just provide Pytest here and press enter. So you see that it got executed successfully.